on, you happy mother Frenchies. Hopefully everybody's having a good week. I'm just leaving the yard. Got a load going from Jackson, Michigan to Louisville, Kentucky. It's a full grade load. Don't have to worry about that too much because I washed the trailer when I was in Evansville, Indiana, because I got rejected. So if I get rejected today, I don't know what the heck to do after that. But never say never. You never ever know. You know. But I'm confident I'll be alright. I was able to find a load. It was a decent paying load coming to Michigan last night. Not only like last night, late last night, it was actually fairly early in the day when I got out here. But I loaded in Waukesha, Wisconsin. I unloaded in Westland, Michigan, same day delivery. And then I was able to come home, have a nice hot shower, a decent home cooked meal. Got to spend some time with the wife, the dog, you know, the family. And today I'm going back out. So it hasn't been a really good week pay wise this week, but it's been okay. I mean, it could be a lot worse. You can't hit a home run every time you strike the bat. So sometimes it's up, sometimes it's down. But as long as I'm moving and I'm paying bills, at least the upside of that is I'm paying bills. I hope you guys are doing the same, whether it be in trucking or whatever job you have. If people are trying to get in this business, do it. It's not easy to start with. You're probably going to have to start with one of the major carriers. You're most likely going to be in a truck with somebody else. You may or may not like them. You can't like everybody you meet. I mean, that's just reality. That's the way it is. You can't be liked by everybody. You're not going to like everybody. I say this, respect everybody, but don't bend over backwards to please anybody. You have to bend over backwards to please them, then, well, as long as they reciprocate, then you're okay. But if it's just a one-way thing, man, you don't need people like that in your life. But if you are thinking about getting in this business, do it. Like I said, it'll be tough initially. Pay is not going to be all that well, but everybody's got to start somewhere. Look at it as you're paying your dues, which, right or wrong, it's a different conversation. But if that's what reality is, then you got to do what you got to do. But the first couple of years are going to be tough. Everybody that hires anybody, whether it be over the road or local or whatever the case is, at least from what I've come across, is they're looking for 2 years over the road experience. Maybe not necessarily over the road, but at least a 2-year experience period, a verifiable experience. You can't just put there, I work for so-and-so and not be able to verify it. Maybe that'll work in some cases, I don't know. But until that time is done, just put your head down, go to work, try to pack as much food as you can from the house, not to eat out. One, you start getting like me and start putting on weight. But two, monetary, reasons. Food ain't cheap, especially at truck stops. Even fast food, which is crazy. But, it is what it is. Get you a little fridge. I got me a little cooler back there. It does the job. Got a little microwave. Got an inverter. And what I end up doing is just packing food from the house. I'll put it in plates, I'll heat it up, and you know, try to save some money that way. Now, you know, I do also eat out. I try not to get fast food, but if I go to a place that's known for a particular something, I'll try the local food and stuff like that. But after your 2-year period is done, then you know you got a little bit more options out there as far as, you know, job search or whatnot. And then becoming an owner operator, it's not an easy thing, but it's not a hard thing either. It's okay. What I would say is, and anybody think, you know, if anybody has a different view on it, and maybe I'm wrong in this, maybe I'm completely wrong, throw a comment down there and school me. I mean, none of us are smarts or know-it-alls. You know, some things we know, some things we know right, some things we know wrong. I mean, it's just the way it is. But for a lot of people that get into this business or becoming an owner-operator and they opt for like a lease buyout through a major company, I've tried it once. I had a horrible experience. But I guess it was a way to start. It didn't end up being a successful thing for me personally. And just because it wasn't a successful thing for me, that doesn't mean that it's not going to be successful for anybody else. I could be the only one that actually failed at it. You know, you never know. I'm sure I made my own mistakes, but when you come down to it, the rates that they give you and what what the truck is worth and what you end up paying for it at the end, it is just asinine. Truck loans are not cheap by any means, but if you have good credit, you can go through a credit union and see if you can, you know, get a loan that way. And the rates on credit unions are, at least in my experience, very cheap compared to everybody else. So if you're gonna buy a truck, save yourself some money, and then go out and get it. But also plan for the truck to need a little bit of work when you buy it. I mean, you could buy a fairly new truck and you still got to put in work unless you buy a brand new truck. Things are going to go wrong with it. So you got to make sure you have some kind of budget set aside for that. Chances are when you buy something from a lot, at least in my experience, recap tires, some shitty ass stuff, you're going to have to do tires on it. You're going to have to do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, which you're going to need money for it, and it ain't cheap. Nothing for trucks is cheap. So make sure you have a chunk of change kind of set aside. What I would suggest, and maybe I'm completely wrong here, but you know, if you can make a decent down payment to put it in a truck and set at least, I would say 10 grand aside, just in case something happens with the truck and you got a means of fixing it, then do it. Probably the best way to do it. And I personally run for a smaller company. They have their trucks as well, but they also have some owner operators. And what I like about them is they are completely transparent. I get paid by a percentage. I get a certain percentage of whatever the gross load pays, or the gross pays for the load, rather. And then they keep a certain percentage. But they are very transparent with me in that, you know, the rate confirmation and stuff, you know, they obviously show it to me, and they CC me on stuff between the brokers and them. So it's not one of those things where, you know, you could think to yourself, well, you know, maybe they're getting the load for X, you know, they're manipulating the actual sheet, and they're sending you whatever you think they're going to send you. There has been companies that I've worked for personally that have done that before. These guys, I don't think so. And a lot of times too is if you start losing trust on somebody like that, then you don't need to be in that situation. It's no different than a relationship. Got a little hot this thing. You don't want to go through life constantly having to think, well, you know, are they telling me the truth? Are they shooting me straight? So find you a company that works like that and stick with it. And sacrifice. The sacrifice being that you're always on the road. You're home very little. You gotta have a spouse that is understanding of that. Thankfully, I do so far. I mean, things could change. You never know. But it's a decent living. For me, this business, it's not just a moneymaker. I truly love anything that you can manipulate in operating. So whether that be a heavy construction equipment, an airplane, a boat, a car, a bike, a race car, a race bike, whatever the case is, I truly enjoy doing that. Don't ask me why. I couldn't tell you if I tried, but I'm sure the way I grew up probably has something to do with it. I got a couple uncles who were crazy about cars, and the pride they took in working in their own stuff, and the way they maintained them, and the way they treated them and drove them, and everything else. Maybe that has a lot to do with it. But regardless, it does make this business is so much easier when you truly enjoy it, and you truly love trucking, and you love trucks. There's going to be aspects of it, just like anything else in your life, that you're not going to like. Whether it be going to shippers and sitting there for such a long time, or you're going to run across all kinds of different people. Just remember this, they might be having a bad day. You might be having a day as well, but you got to go through life kind of thinking that maybe they're having a worse day than you are. Should they do the same? Yeah, probably, but that's not always the case. So just kind of be patient with that. And there will be times where you are going to be pissed off, and you're going to be pretty mad, whether it be a broker, a shipper, a receiver, or whatever the case is. Sometimes even your dispatch. But just keep in mind, they're trying their best as well. So the truck I drive is a 2000 Freightliner Classic. My very first Classic that I've ever owned. I've had older trucks before. I had a 97 Kenworth W9, which is by far one of my favorite trucks I've ever owned. And this truck comes pretty close to that, but I think that one is still just a little bit better to me anyway. I do truly like this truck though. It's got a 500 horsepower Detroit. It does have a Pittsburgh Power exhaust manifold with a I think it's a 702 turbo, so that horsepower went up a little bit based on that. Maybe, who knows, I don't know. But I know it's a 500 horse from the factory. It is a 99 engine, so it is a pre-emissions, pre-E-Log, which I truly like this pre-emission stuff. I was unfortunate enough to own a 2004 12.7 Detroit with EGR, which I think it was the first year they did that to this engine, and I don't think it was really designed for it. And that engine, to me, at least to me, was just a hunk of shit. It was just horrible. It was only a 430 horse, but whether they're all like that, I don't know. At least to me, that's what happened. I also had a 14-liter Detroit with the EGR on a 06 Coronado. I liked the truck. That engine I wasn't a fan of. It was better than the 12.7 with the EGR, but it still wasn't a great engine. I've had a few Cats over the years. I really do like Cats. My 97 W9 had a 3406. Truly like that engine. It was a 550 horse. I had a T2000 with a C15A cert. I've had a couple of T600s with N14 Cummins. I really do like that engine as well. Most of the trucks that I've owned were, with an exception of a couple, were either 13 or 18 speeds, and a couple were 10 speeds. I do like 13s. I do like bus weight is I think 157,000 pounds, so they're heavy. I mean, we were picking up anywhere between 90 to 120,000 pound load on top of whatever the trailer and the truck was. And that particular truck was a T800. It wasn't my truck. I worked for somebody else at the time. It was a T800 with a Cat C16 with an 18 speed, and I believe the ratio on that was a 3.7, which works out pretty good for those heavy weights. The ratio on this truck is a 355, which I truly like. If it was up to me, I'd probably get a 336. You know, get that cruising RPM, maybe a little bit lower at higher speeds. But again, that's just me. Whether that's a good thing or not, I don't know. Business, I was fortunate enough to know a few people that, you know, gave me the chance, and they were nice enough to kind of give me a start. And I started way back in 09, so maybe it was a little bit easier to start back then than it is now as far as the experience is concerned. Maybe, I don't know. But even back then, I would say 90% of the guys, maybe more, you know, maybe a little bit less, or gals, got started, you know, with the majors. Swift, I think Saladin was, I think they were going out of business, if I'm not wrong. But CR England, Schneider, there's so many different companies that would hire guys and gals right off of school, but they did require you to make kind of a commitment and have a contract in place where if you left before a certain amount of time, they would want all the money that they had to pay for you to go to truck driving school. Whether that's still the same today or not, I don't know. I think so, but I haven't experienced it myself. It's just what I've heard from other people. So whether that's true or not, I really don't know. It would still make sense for it to be that way, but who knows? Maybe the contracts now are longer, maybe they're shorter. But again, everybody's got to start somewhere. And starting out in anything, I don't think it's easy. You got to put in your time. Look at it as you got to pay your dues, and then everything will come to you. But you got to stick with it. Don't expect everything right now. It just doesn't happen that way. I wish it did, but it just unfortunately doesn't. So be patient. Do the job to your best, you know, to the best of your abilities. Be sincere and be honest in what you do. Take care of, you know, the owner's equipment. Yes, they're making money because of you, but you're also making money because of them, and you got a job because of them. So, you know, it's a two-way street, guys. I can't tell you how many people that I've heard, and I've employed myself at some point. Oh, you wouldn't be here without me, and I'm making you this much money, and I'm making you that much money. And that's true, but hey, you also got a job because of me. So let's both come together and help each other out. So is the person that owns the truck, you know, gonna make a little bit more money than you are? Probably not. Who knows? But just take care of the equipment like it's your own. It'll be very good for you in the long run. You may not see the fruits of the labor right away, but it will benefit you. This is a very small community as far as trucking is. You have when everything else is taken away from you, and it can be taken away from you. Trust me on that. start to turn that around. So think about that, and always think about that. Whether anybody listens to this or not, it is what it is. But even if just one person takes a little bit something of this, job done on my end. I was fortunate enough to have people like that in my life to kind of guide me through some things. Some things I had to learn the hard way. I'm no different than most people. You could be told not to do this because XYZ 100 times, a million times for that. But sometimes you're still going to do it and experience the kick in the ass yourself.